Our last speaker will talk about something really unusual yet present in our everyday life. In her presentation titled Can You Hear Me? Audio Compression, she will take us into the world of sound and its digitized form. She's a real inventor. Not only does she hold 2 PhD degrees in the fields of automation and information technology, but also she has over 150 patents and patent applications in the field of speech and audio compression, as well as compression of generic or biomedical data. From Tampere in Finland, speaking to us now, let's greet Adriana Vasilache.
Thank you, Magda, for the kind introduction. And dear audience, I'm happy to be here. But let me check first. Can you hear me? It's pretty late in the afternoon, and I hope that you can still hear me. Most importantly, do you know what makes you able to hear me? This is what I will be talking about today as a short description of what this audio communication channel between us is and how you could contribute maybe someday to it. I've been working in this audio and speech coding for more than 20 years, and this is a topic very dear to my heart. So let's see what it is about. Just starting with a quick diagram and considering this case that we have now. I'm here speaking at a microphone, and this microphone that's actually connected to my computer transforms the sound I'm speaking to a digital signal that you can see, for instance, in this picture. Actually, here the sound signal corresponds to the "Can you hear me?" In the device, in the laptop, there is an encoder. And this encoder transforms the digital signal into a sequence of bits. So basically a sequence of 1 and zeros, only binary values. This sequence of bits is transferred through the network to your place, to your house, where you have maybe a phone or a laptop that have a decoder in them. And this decoder will transform the bits back to the form of the signal, of the digital signal, after which the loudspeaker or maybe the headset will transform the signal into the sound that you are hearing. So this is how it goes. It's simple, it's beautiful, but let's see a bit more. Let's see how this encoder and decoder, who when put together they form a codec, how do they work? What is their principle, or what are their principles? What does the encoder do? So it transforms this signal into a sequence of bits. But it's not only about transforming them, but it's also about compressing the size. Why? Probably you already know, because you might already have experienced crammed networks where it's like hard to hear, that signal is interrupted because there is too much information to transmit and there's not enough space. So this is why when we are encoding, we want to squeeze as much information as possible into very few bits. How to do that? The main idea when doing the compression or the encoding is to find a good model for the signal. Why, you might ask? For instance, if I try to explain you what a tiger is, and instead of telling you that, really describing how it looks and how big it is and what colors and that it has 4 legs and a tail and so on, if I know that you know what a cat is, I can tell you that it is like a cat, but 1 meter high, 2 meters long. It has these colors and this shape in the colors, and you would get a very good idea of what a tiger might look like. This is why it's very efficient to encode using models. Because I tell you which model, what parameters, and then you can reconstruct and understand what I'm speaking about. The second aspect of coding is the extraction of only relevant information from the signal. And it's not the fact that I might be covering up some words or not sending them, but some sounds you might actually not be able to hear them anyway. Therefore, there's no use to send them. And two more aspects when speaking of the audio communication is that it's very useful to think who created the signal. And this case, it's my vocal tract who created it. And if you understand the anatomy of the vocal tract, you could come up easily with a model. Well, easily. You can come up with a model for the signal because you know how it has been produced. At your end, who is listening? If I know who is listening, I would know what information is relevant. And I'm not actually speaking if it's about you or you who is listening, but the human ears are listening. So the anatomy of the human hearing is important when trying to understand what information should be sent and what not. Now, I told you that this encoder and decoders are in the devices. And maybe we have one phone with one device, with one codec, with the encoder, with the model. But there are many other devices. So maybe there are also some other models, actually other codecs. Then there's also the network, and it is not only one, but there are quite many players in the network field. So how do we make sure that all these devices and data that goes through the network is actually understandable by everybody? We make standards. So basically, some codecs that are well defined and known by everybody. Because otherwise, it would be as if we would be speaking foreign languages without understanding each other. And for having these codecs, these standards of the codecs, there are a couple of standardization bodies of which I put only a couple of them here. For instance, 3GPP, ITUT, MPEG, and they are working on creating and developing codecs. And these codecs, well, there are quite many, I have to admit, because they have evolved historically. They have, at every generation, they have tried to improve the codecs, to have better intelligibility, to have better error resilience, because the network, it might happen that some of the information is lost. So when you have this kind of bits that are lost, you should be able at the decoder to recover the signal such that there are no strong artifacts and it still sounds reasonable. Another aspect that these various standardization bodies have in mind is what is the use case or the purpose of the codec. Because you can have codec for communication, like two-way communication. For instance, when you are speaking on the phone, there are two people conversing, and these codecs should have a low delay, meaning that if I'm telling you something and then you're replying, I don't have to wait for a very long time to hear what you're saying back, because the feeling of the conversation would be broken. On the other hand, if it's just a one-way communication, like unfortunately now it's only me speaking, then it doesn't matter if there is a longer delay, because you cannot really know when exactly, at what absolute moment I am speaking. You're just listening continuously to what I'm speaking. During the last years, in addition to these aspects for the audio codecs, also the researchers have wanted to have a better capture of the environment as well. So imagine if you are in a forest and speaking with a friend, he would be able also to feel as if he was also in the forest with you. Or already these devices we have more microphones, and you also have loudspeaker systems at home. So there is this multi-channel audio. There is also going between different people or between some radio stations and your house. So this multi-channel coding is now getting more and more attention in the audio standardization world. Well, this should be something that is unfortunately quite familiar to you nowadays. And this is how we can see the importance and how useful it is, this audio communication, because it helps us actually work, live. It helps us communicate with people with whom otherwise we won't be able to interact easily. So this is where audio communication is used. It also has some challenges, but it also has some good parts. You can maybe be able to communicate and work from very nice places instead of being in the office. And it's not only the real world. With the audio communication, nowadays we are also plunging into the virtual world. Imagine that you are able to go to a place, to maybe the jungle, and you would hear the monkeys in the trees or birds singing as if you are there. Can you feel that jungle around you? It would be very easy to feel and to hear if you'd have this device and the loudspeakers, and you'd be immersed. Furthermore, it's not only visiting various strange places, but also being able to work with other people as if you are in the same place. It's like you have John on the right side and Helen on the left side, and the three of us are working together on the same project. And life is not only about work, it's also about entertainment. Can you imagine yourself going to the concert of your favorite artist and not being in this high place over here, barely being able to hear or see what is happening on the stage, but being able to actually go on the stage next to your artist, look at him, listen, hear the music, hear the sounds of his song, how they are actually as if you are there next to him. This is what audio communication can do. Now let's see what you can do. Why would audio communication be for you? First of all, and this is actually my favorite to start with, is that when we are building algorithms, when you are developing, there's a nice order and structure about them. And there's a logic. So for a rational mind, this is like pure heaven. Secondly, it's also possible when working in audio communication to quickly test and see the impact of what you are doing. For instance, when I was younger, I was also working in biotechnology, and I was having some microorganism cultures, and it took a long time to see the effect of what I was doing there. I was trying to regulate them, but it took weeks to see if it was good or not what I was doing. While in the audio, you just tweak or change the algorithm a bit, then you listen and you understand if it's correct or not what you're doing. So you can also advance faster, and you can also get the satisfaction of your work. And let's face it, what we are doing in audio communication, it's used by everybody. Yes, everybody has a phone. Everybody speaking on the phone. And, well, research work is continuous learning. Learning doesn't stop in school. It continues and goes on. And this is a good thing because continuous learning actually keeps you young. And it's not me who is telling this, but it has been proven. And you don't need any cosmetics. Promise. And last but not the least, you contribute to better human communication. And yes, communication is very important. Now let's see why you are for audio communication. What can you bring? First of all, if you like mathematics or working with numbers, if you have some basics of signal processing or information theory, or you are interested about understanding what is the information, how can we represent it, then that's a place for you. Secondly, you might have music as a hobby, and you can transform this hobby to a new profession or to your profession. Let's face it, we women are very attentive to detail. And being attentive to detail, it's really very important when developing algorithms. And not only this, but also we have good social skills. Therefore, when we are thinking on how to develop devices that would be used by other people, because we have better understanding or better empathy, or we are better able to be in their shoes, we are therefore better equipped at designing those products. Yes, we do, you do come with a different perspective in a team. Because yes, unfortunately nowadays, these audio communication and maybe also other research teams are mainly male. So do you want to bring that new perspective, that new soul, that new energy in a team, that new idea? Then this is a place for you. And let me ask you one more time. Can you still hear me? Are you still here? Because I have told you about you and audio communication and how you can be together. Thank you.
Adriana, thank you very much for this inspiring talk. It was really great. Thank you.
Thank you.